Mohammed bin Salman is 36 years old and has led Saudi Arabia for nearly 5 years. His father, the 86-year-old King Salman, has been rarely seen in public since 2019, and MBS, as he's commonly known, has only addressed the world a handful of times since the outbreak of COVID began. Once upon a time, he was everywhere, on an endless promotional tour to sell his plan to modernize his father's country. But shortly after the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, a contributor for The Washington Post, in 2018, MBS reduced his travel. His most recent interview with non-Saudi media occurred more than 2 years ago. The CIA decided that he ordered Khashoggi's murder, and Saudi Arabia's own prosecutors determined that some of the Crown Prince's closest advisors were responsible for carrying it out. They were believed to have mutilated and decomposed Khashoggi's body. Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at a day in the life of a Crown Prince. Yeah, you heard it right. MBS's reputation for brutality was already well established. In 2017, he imprisoned hundreds of his family members and others affluent Saudis at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh on informal claims of corruption. The murder of Jamal Khashoggi cemented the Crown Prince's reputation as gruff, fragile, and psychotic. President Joe Biden, who has thus far refused to communicate with MBS, is among those with a negative opinion of him. Many in Washington and other Western capitals still hold out hope that his ascension to the throne might be prevented. Within the monarchy, though, MBS's succession is seen as inevitable. Ask any Saudi, anyone, if MBS will become king. A senior Saudi official advised me, if there are any individuals in Washington who believe that he will not be, I cannot assist them. I'm not a therapist. He'll become the absolute monarch of the birthplace of Islam and the owner of the world's greatest accessible oil reserves upon the death of his father. He'll also be the leader of one of America's closest friends and a major source of trouble for the country. Over the past 3 years, I've traveled to Saudi Arabia to determine if the Crown Prince is a killer, a reformer, or both, and if he is both, whether he can be one without his father. Even MBS's detractors acknowledge that he has awakened the nation from an economic and social slumber. In 2016, he launched Vision 2030, a plan to reform and transform Saudi Arabia from, if I may be so candid, one of the world's most bizarre nations into a state that could be described as normal. It is now accessible to tourists and investors, and its people can engage in common recreational activities and even certain vices. The Crown Prince has allowed cinemas and concerts, as well as invited notable raw hip-hop artists to play. In places such as Dubai and Bahrain, he has permitted women to drive and dress with complete freedom. He has diminished the function of recreational clerics and nearly eliminated the religious police. He has examined Israel's relations. He has also generated an unprecedented climate of dread in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has never existed as a free nation, but even the most restrictive of MBS's predecessors, his uncle King Faisal, never ruled over a climate like the current one, in which it is commonly believed that you put yourself in danger if you criticize the monarch or provide even the slightest compliment to his opponents. The exile of MBS's detractors, who are not regicide extremists or Al-Qaeda sympathizers, but rather ordinary people with independent opinions about his changes, some fear that if he continues to get his way, modernized Saudi Arabia would oppress in ways that ancient Saudi Arabia could never have even dreamed of. Khalid al-Jabri, the exiled son of one of MBS's most prominent detractors, forewarned me that things were only going to get worse. When he becomes King Mohammed, Crown Prince MBS will be recognized as an angel. MBS hid from the public for approximately 2 years in the hopes that the Khashoggi murder would be forgotten. It has never been forgotten. The Crown Prince still wishes to persuade the world that he's saving his country and not keeping it hostage, which is why he met with Jeffrey Goldberg twice in recent months. The Crown Prince was pleasant, kind, informal, and clever during our encounters. However, even when it is at his most friendly, absolute monarchy cannot escape bizarre. MBS invited us to a distant palace by the Red Sea, his family's COVID bunker, for our first meeting. Protocols included a series of PCR tests by nurses from the royal clinics, a Gulfstream jet in the middle of the night from Riyadh, a convoy from a deserted airstrip, the surrender of electronic devices, and a stopover at a mysterious guest house visible in satellite photos, but unmarked on Google Maps. He welcomed us to his palace at approximately 1:30 a.m., where we spent over 2 hours conversing. We were instructed to be in his palace in Riyadh by 10 a.m. for the second meeting. Also, it started after midnight. The corridors were lively. The Crown Prince had just returned from nearly 2 years of distant work, and ministers and advisors rolled out red carpets in search of their first meetings with the king in months. The desks and tables in his office, which was spacious but not expensive, were cluttered with unattended packages and papers. The telescope appeared to be aimed not at the stars, but at Riyadh, the huge desert metropolis from which the Saud family has reigned for the majority of the past 3 centuries. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you in the next video.